Hey everyone, Namrita here with the Thursday evening workout review. So today we had a good sustained tempo workout. We did the base camp aerobic endurance with neuromuscular power activations and tempo bridges. So a little bit different workout. And I've got Shannon up here for review. Thanks for joining the ride again, Shannon. You had an awesome workout. And I picked you because you had some key learnings on the ride. And I think the first thing I want to focus on before I get into the workout, and I know Tim did some coaching in his morning review too, but slightly different angle here. So all these other sports outside of cycling practice skills, and it's not something that cyclists, generally speaking, do a lot of, especially with drills and stuff. And um, it's definitely an area that as we're continuing to work on other aspects of, we're building fitness, we're going to start talking about conditioning, and eventually we're going to start talking about performing. And we already talk about that a little bit, but the skills in there are really meant to help make you a better cyclist as well. And so we can take advantage of the time that we have when we're training indoors together to kind of practice some of these things. We think about skills as like working on handling skills outside, which is true. But some of this high cadence stuff, body positioning while standing, while standing and climbing, pedaling and things like that, we like to work on together as well, because it really does make a difference. And today our skill that we were practicing it was hard for most of us, but we learned. And some of you did the workout in the morning and then wanted to practice it again tonight. And so you came again, and like Tina said, it finally took her a few times, but she was finally able to execute the 1 minute of standing at FTP power. So skill practice, super important. We like to do the things that we're good at. And of course that's true, but going outside of our comfort zone to learn something is never not valuable. So that's what we did today. In addition to getting a super tempo workout, we are just layering in the tempo time and zone this year, or this season, a cycle. We have more of it next week, and then we're going to cap everything off with the Alp challenge. So again, everything that we're doing in these group workouts Tuesday, Thursday for, next week also is really focused on preparing you for that Alp climbing challenge. It's a long climb with some steep sections, and there's going to be a lot of lower cadence tempo. There's going to be a lot of gradient changes, and the demands of the course that we're riding in free ride mode. Remember that. So, the terrain's going to change, and we're going to have to respond to that. So we're trying to prepare you to do that and give you the skills and build your neuromuscular coordination, your efficiency, not only while you're seated climbing, riding in the saddle, but also when you're standing, because you're going to need to stand some during the challenge. So anyway, back to the review. Shannon, you had a great workout. It was green. You had a good 5-minute power, number 3 for the year. So that obviously tells me that you had a strong workout, and you did a little bit more planned TSS, a little bit more intensity than the workout was planned. So all good. Let's just go into analyze again. We're doing these in incline mode because we are really trying to get you to develop this control and execution of power. And then we layer in the cadence, and today also sitting and standing. So we're kind of throwing some things at you, but I think you're handling it very well. And I just look at Shannon's workout, and it's literally perfect. The 15-second activations, she did pretty much, at target, a little bit stronger on the second one. Endurance was done right in zone. You can see the zones in the background. And here's her tempo bridge, and it kind of looks like the suspension bridge, right? Like we start with 2 minutes of tempo, 1 minute standing FTP effort. And you can see here, and I'm going to talk about those and how she executed them in a second. But then we did 10 minutes of tempo, another minute at threshold, back to tempo. And it seemed like really everyone had a pretty easy time with the tempo power today. You can tell Shannon was in very good control of the effort, right in zone, even a little bit high in the second one. So I can tell she felt good about that. In terms of the 1 minute FTP, if you look at your file, you might find that you were super high. It is hard to hit that relatively lower power target out of the saddle with high cadence. Many of you overshot the power. I did. And we talked about some things to kind of fine tune your climbing position. And so Shannon did mention she was climbing first in the hoods. And we were trying to get people to shift their hips back, towards the saddle. So you don't have too much of the quad burning happening, too much weight on the front. So on the second one, you can see, Shannon tried standing first. Maybe she got in the saddle for that second half, which is totally fine. Again, we are here to learn. She still maintained the FTP effort, dropped down to tempo without letting her power lag too much behind. And then the second one, she did a little better with that, surge above FTP. So that was good. That's also already a learning. I do know that she also tried going in the drops. Many of you had success with that. So going in the drops helped bring your hips back towards your saddle, back and lower, and that helped you to have more control with this higher RPM FTP effort. So that was fine. It worked. And you can see on the second set, she got even better. So we're learning these movement patterns. We're developing this neuromuscular coordination out of the saddle as well. It happens quicker than you think. I mean, we've been working on such things now for 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks, but we're also trying to do some of these things and practice them out of the saddle, because when you go outside, or even when you climb the Alp on Zwift, you need to be able to do that. If you want to have good sustained pace, stick to your pacing plan, not fatigue prematurely. As Tina also mentioned during the ride today, thought it was a good thing to note. Like, it's easy to overshoot the power in these efforts out of the saddle, but the fatigue cost is higher. And so when you're doing, a shorter workout like this with not too much demand, it's okay. But when you go into the challenge, you really do want to be mindful of those efforts, because that fatigue cost, every time you overshoot that power over a threshold, it's going to add up, and you're using those matches not strategically. So just something to be aware of. And again, we're going to talk way more about this next week. Real quick, I'll just look at her heart rate just for curiosity. There we go. And it looks really good. So absolutely, it's coming up as intended with the standing high cadence FTP surge, just like we intended to, and it came right back down. So, she's getting back into steady state, controlled breathing, probably controlled heart rate. Her cadence was, here we go. Let me hide heart rate. Cadence looked great. Again, you can tell where she was kind of playing around with the high cadence. You can tell from the second one, even compared to the first one, much more controlled. And then obviously, like I said, the second set was even better. So great learning. Great job, Shannon. Thanks for sticking with it and sharing what worked for you. We always appreciate that. And great group energy tonight. It was fun to do it together as always. And, it's always more fun to do hard things together, and you guys are getting super strong. So I'm excited to see how next week goes, and obviously the challenge. So have a great night, and we'll see you next week.